This is my first time, by the way, doing Zoom on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot can go wrong. Well, it says we're live on YouTube, so I guess that's good. What's your channel?
It's my first name.
My first time.
And
Pardes. Now I hear echo.
yeah, do you hear it now?
Not now.
Okay. So, I'm gonna share the link with you so you know where you see the link. I mean, I was just on it. I don't know why I left it. Okay, so I'm gonna share the link on the chat.
He's calling you a boomer with his eyes.
Yeah. What is this? If we're live, we're good. What do I need a link for? What am I going to do with that? Oh, you want me to like tweet it? I retweeted you. Isn't that good? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. No,
Are we live?
Yeah,
we're
live.
live. We're doing it live, like Bill O'Reilly.
We're live. Okay, what's up, everybody? One thing that Rucka doesn't know about me probably is actually probably doesn't know anything about me. But anyways, so I have been doing live streams like for a while. Like I do like these nightly live streams, and I used to do them last year. I did them like every single day. And then I stopped for a while, and then recently I kind of like came back on, and we've been doing them. And this is the first time that I figured out how to do like Zoom with YouTube. So it's like way cooler because all my other live streams are kind of dumb. So, I mean, they're not dumb, but they're just not as sophisticated because they're not on Zoom. Anyway.
Nice. I did not know that. What's your channel called?
It's my first and last name. It's just Pardes. And
all right.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And
so, yeah.
In case anybody doesn't know, and everybody already knows, we have Rucka Rucka Ali on. He is a world-class rapper, and he makes really, really funny videos. Definitely go and check out his videos, but not right now because we're live. And
after this, yeah.
Yes. And
check out some of his commentary videos too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the Jake Paul response video that you did. You were like one of the only guys who, or was it Logan Paul? One of them.
It was Logan Paul.
Yeah, I don't really follow them too closely. I just remember hearing a bunch of people freaking out, and I was like, there's probably a little bit more to this story here. And yeah, pretty cool video, like kind of deconstructing how people just jump on people that are successful. Like I know they're both pretty big, right? Like they're two of the biggest guys on YouTube, the Pauls.
Yeah.
But like,
I think Logan is now a little bigger.
Okay.
Yeah. He has his podcast.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, look, like, I don't think it's my type of content, and I don't say that like in a condescending way or whatever. It just, I don't know. I never really looked into it too much, and it doesn't seem like my type of thing, but like, they seem pretty entrepreneurial and like clearly successful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they have faults, obviously, especially Jake, but like, but what bothered me about the whole suicide forest controversy is that everyone just immediately decided, like, here's the narrative. A money grubbing, just like narcissistic douchebag YouTuber found a dead body and was like laughing about it and taking selfies with it and exploiting this suicide victim for money. And it's just such a selective way to like depict what took place. I mean, it's like saying, like, you know, Christopher Columbus, he sailed west and killed the Indians, but like, you know, there's other stuff too, and there's like a reason we remember Columbus that have nothing to do with you know, his treatment of Indians. So it's like one way to describe what took place is like the hardest working guy on YouTube who's always got a camera on everywhere he goes, came across a very, very dramatic thing, which is a suicide, a dead body hanging in the woods, and recorded his reaction and decided to post it. And Well, like, yeah, oh, he did it for money. Okay, well, like the people reporting the story technically also, you could say did it for money. I mean, like Philly D posted at least 10 videos with Logan Paul in the title after that event. Every day is like, oh, the Logan problem continues. What do we do about Logan? Oh, Logan's back. Is he sorry enough? Everything. Logan in the thumbnail, and the video is fully monetized with 10 ad reads in the video. But that's not Philly exploiting the dead body. Like, it's only exploiting the first step. It's just a very selective, like gratuitous way to like respond. Like, someone decided, here's the narrative, and then like people just ran with it. And the idiot from Breaking Bad, Jesse Pinkman, Aaron Paul, like tweeted at Logan, you know, they have the same last name. It's like, because Logan Paul, you make me sick. My cousin's friend killed himself, and you have no idea. Dude, fuck Jesse Pinkman. I'm glad his friend killed himself, or whoever it was. I'm not glad, but it is Jesse's fault. It is his fault. It's Aaron Paul's fault that his friend or his brother or whoever it is. The fact that someone gets on Twitter and talks about anything that personal is already cringe enough. But the fact that he's trying to destroy this kid's career over what? Like, nobody knows how you're supposed to behave when you're vlogging and you come across a dead body. No one's ever heard of that happening. No, like, if you were to ask 100 people, what do you do if you're vlogging and you come across a dead body? Like, you'd get 100 different answers or something. And like half the answers would be like, I don't know, you keep recording. And so I don't know, like, who's ever been in that situation? But everyone's just like, oh yeah, we of course you're supposed to stop the camera and, you know, and just like delete the whole thing. Like, just people are full of shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of the early commentary videos. The nihilism of Logan Paul's haters, I think it was called.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's like literally just because he's successful.
Yeah, and they love to generate like the downfall of a celebrity. Like, I mean, I think that something that's very common is like the Michael Jackson thing, and the whole like, oh, like he molested kids and stuff, but you don't really see people like go into the proof and stuff. Like, I've seen people talking from the other side. I don't know a whole lot about, like, I'm not gonna go into the weeds because I don't really know that much about it personally, but it's like, you know, probably one of the most successful people in the music industry, right? Like, at least during that time period. And they just, you see how excited they get, the look on these reporters' faces. And I think now, like YouTube, it's becoming the same way sometimes, some of these reactors of like, we can finally get him. Like, they resent their success so much because it kind of feeds into the narrative they've created for themselves. Because like, if someone can succeed and stay on top, then that means that they have to actually work a little harder in their own life, because it is possible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
So it's like it ruins their whole idea of like, oh well, I can just be fine just the way.
Because life doesn't work that way. Like, there's no way that anybody could be genuinely happy and successful.
Yes.
You, according to the like popular opinion, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I say the press and stuff, but like, yeah, it is like a thing that's common throughout the culture. It's just,
yeah, I think the common perspective is that if you're successful, you must have done something wrong. Like, you must have hurt somebody. And, you know, so if you're a billionaire, you must have taken it from someone. And if you're an entertainer, like, people, they do love you because they love the entertainment. Like, Michael Jackson was the most beloved person in the world, but like, there probably was some like excitement to be like, aha, see, like, even he's a degenerate. But also, like, it's also the excitement of journalists because they have like a scoop. So that's probably part of it too. They're just like this short range, like, ooh, this is going to help my career, even though it's destroying someone's life potentially, but they're only looking at the short term and the small picture. And yeah, I mean, with Logan Paul, it's a little different because like Michael Jackson, everyone loved his music. I don't know how many haters he had in the 80s, but like Logan, people hated him already, like in advance. So they went into this whole thing with with a bias, like, because he's like a jock, you know, because he's kind of a douche. Like he's like a normie, you know. Like this was at a time when there was like a vibrant presence of like commentary channels on YouTube that they were all edgy. So Logan and Jake Paul, they were sort of like the death of the commentary genre, sort of. I don't know, like it's hard to like explain like a link between the two things, but I saw it like the whole like anti-SJW era of the internet like ending with Jake Paul's music video. It's every day, bro. It's every day, bro. Like it's like those two like things sort of eclipsed, like the end of like the whole commentary, SJW commentary thing eclipsed with like Jake Paul bursting onto the scene. And all the edgy people, like they hated the Paul brothers. And they are kind of douchey, especially back then. But that doesn't mean that like Logan should have his career revoked. People really wanted his channel deleted. They're like Ethan Klein, who I didn't hate at that time. I just was never a big fan, but I didn't hate him until I saw him like tweeting at YouTube when they removed Logan from the partner program, which like, you know, cuts his income in half, and they canceled his movie. Like Logan Paul had a movie he was doing with YouTube, and YouTube canceled the movie, and Ethan Klein like tweeted at them like with like the clapping emoji, like he's happy. I'm just like, fuck this guy. So that was kind of like, for me, like it was a very telling moment. This is like a nice little blast from the past talking about 2017.
He became insufferable though, because he used to not be like that. Ethan Klein was like, when I first heard about him, they were like they kind of like did their own thing. They had their little podcast and they were getting big, but they still were in their own little thing, and they weren't trying to shut everybody down. And now it's just like constantly all Ethan does is like try to get people banned from whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. He's become everything he used to be against, Ethan. Like he like even before he had a podcast, he was like really big on YouTube for being like an SJW, like an anti-SJW crusader. Like he would like show how absurd the feminists had gotten and all these people, and that was like what he was known for. And then flash forward to now, and he's basically turned into that. Like he's calling people white supremacists all the time, and just like completely using the most bullshit arguments, just like, and trying to get people's channels and income deleted and stuff. So he's become like everything he used to rail against. And I was never like a big fan of his. I always just didn't find him that funny, but I kind of appreciated that he was a bit of a hard ass in the face of the PC establishment. Now he's like 100%, you know, he thinks he grew up. He's like 100% like PC, you know, the adult in the room, here to like police the internet. So
really
to hell with him.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about like the gatekeepers of the right. Like, I feel like that's becoming a big thing too now. Like, you have the Ben Shapiro's like, well, guys, this is the official narrative. Like,
well, I was, like in DC, I mean, I was talking about like,
yeah,
like,
I mean, I think Ben is actually a lot better than most of these conservative types, but like Fox News, like you interacted with them a lot.
Yeah, like the people who are like the DC conservatives who are like complaining all the time about how they were getting canceled by leftists or by whatever other DC people who are not conservative. And then they play the same exact game though. Like they'll be like, oh, you can't associate with these people or that people. It's not good for your reputation.
Yeah.
We don't, those people are like fringy, like.
I have no respect for them because, like you say, that they're the reason why this PC stuff and why this like cultural narrative stuff the left keeps winning.
They're so into that. It's like,
because they cave to it at every turn and they grumble about it, but they don't do anything to actually like take a stand against any of it publicly.
Yeah, they just make it worse. I mean, they're like part of it. They're playing the game. A lot of people.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of generalizations. I don't really know like specifically what you guys are referring to. Like who said who what.
So I'll give Fox as an example, and I mean I won't go into like detail about like my personal stuff, but like it. Fox is a classic example of like a conservative outlet that where like they'll talk about. I mean, it used to be that a lot of the people who worked there were like DC conservatives. Washington Examiner, I would say there's a little bit of that over there, where they'll complain about cancel culture on the left, censorship and cancel culture on the left, but they will
they'll fire their own employee. Like people who they get fired for jokes that they make that are very innocuous.
They'll fire their best writers,
like not even at work, just from something in a group chat or something.
Yeah, something you say in a group chat, something you said, something that somebody finds that you
tweeted 10 years ago or whatever,
or someone that you associated with that might have been alt-right, although you can't really trust when people in DC say that somebody's alt-right, because it's usually like, oh, they just made a joke or something. And the conservatives will do that too, because they're like, oh, well, we don't want to lose our business with this so-and-so, or we don't want to lose.
We want the lefties to think that we're mainstream too.
Yeah, like we don't want to ruin our reputation.
But they don't distinguish between Ben Shapiro and who's the guy? Richard Spencer.
Yeah.
Like they will say their names in the same breath. So it's not
Ooh.
like.
So sorry. The idea of like someone on the right, on any part of the right, trying to preserve their reputation and trying to distance themselves from the people that are too far right in order to appear moderate to the left is silly, because people in DC especially see everybody on the right as like the same. They're not going to see you as more moderate than Richard Spencer just because you like deleted all your more right-wing friends or all your controversial sounding friends.
And specific people, right, that like tried to.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people like that
they
fell
tried
into
to become mainstream.
Yeah, like people spend so long trying to become mainstream, and then some joke that they made 10 years ago will just keep coming back to haunt them. It's like never ending. And some people will be open and honest about it, and they'll just be like, yo, this is literally a joke from 10 years ago. But some people will like start playing the game and start hitting other people for being too edgy because they want to be like
wasn't there a big social media crusade to get Domino's to like redact a tweet that they made thanking Kayleigh McEnany for like tweeting, oh, I like your pizza or whatever? Like Trump's press secretary, like she made a tweet like 10 years ago when she was in college saying Domino's pizza is my favorite pizza.
Yeah,
and Domino's tweeted back at her thanking her, and everyone was tweeting at Domino's to like
trying to boycott Domino's because they like, 10
before this woman even like, she was a college student at the time. She clearly had no association with Trump at the time, but like, I don't know. It's just this whole like, you can't even be associated with someone who's associated with like the bad guys or whatever. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's a tough position that everybody's in these days, I guess. Like people on the right, they're like not quite sure what to do with all the changes and stuff. But I mean, the way I see it, I think Fox has gotten like way too flirty with like, I mean, the fact that Tucker Carlson is like the face of Fox, I think is, I mean, it's not like Fox was ever like a great network. They always had like a populist as their main face. Like Bill O'Reilly is the same way. He's just like he just like sees which way the wind is blowing, and then that's his opinion. But like at that time, like being just like an anti-trade, like anti-capitalist, just absolute scumbag, like Tucker Carlson wasn't like that popular the way it is now on the right. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I'm glad it's not my job to like decide who works at Fox and who works at this, who's associated with who. So I'm glad I get to just be in my own lane and just be like, here's what I believe. I disagree with everybody almost. And you know, that's it.
It's authentic.
Yeah, and I get to be the guy who people are afraid to associate with.
Yeah, but it seems like we're
not afraid to associate
No,
with you.
yeah, like I mean,
well, you don't work for Ben Shapiro.
It's well, not anymore.
Not anymore. But anyway, it wouldn't. I don't think anyone would have. Like, I don't. It doesn't seem like I'm on anyone's radar. But
we were trolling
your
Wikipedia, and it's not like they have anything negative to say about you, which I find kind of surprising. They have like one little controversy, and it's not even about you. It's that some McDonald's worker played your music in the store. Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, the Wikipedia says I feature a lot of like controversial type of lyrics and stuff, and you know, it was probably written by a fan, so whatever. If I was more like culturally relevant, like if I were like a political commentator, I would have enemies. So, you know, it is.
You know what I think?
It is what it is. What do you think?
I think that people, the reason why people aren't trying to cancel you is because you're not cancelable. You're not working for like a network and you don't care what anyone says. And like you give off the vibe that you really, really, really don't care. And so like, what's anyone gonna do other than give you publicity?
yeah.
Because you are pretty listened to. I mean, let's like, if people in other countries, like I saw people in the Netherlands were like using, like, I mean, they were pirating your music for their movie. There was,
those bastards.
There, yeah.
Yeah.
But like all over the world, like it's like people are playing your music everywhere, and even we were playing it like just to troll the neighbors. But like everybody listens to it, but then are they going after these little journalists in DC? And I think part of it is because those journalists are low-hanging fruit. You're not the kind of person that they will gain anything from by going after you.
I mean, I think you're probably right, but you never know. Like, if I were more of a like political commentator, and if I were like partisan, I was like, you know, pro-Trump or like pro any political party, I would have enemies, and then they could be like drawing more attention to like, you know, my content and emphasizing the more controversial elements of it, which I guess is pretty much the entirety of the content. Yeah. And then, and you know, I mean, they can't like, I mean, cancelable. I don't know. They could try to deplatform me, which, you know, which happens. So it's not like it's impossible. They can't stop me from saying what I'm going to say, but they can definitely, you know, try to delete me again.
Because you'd still create the art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm from another time. It's a really weird thing to like, really weird state of the world right now. Because like, I grew up with like this sort of lineage of like entertainers breaking new grounds and like facing controversy, like comedians and like, you know, guys like Ozzy Osbourne and Eminem and Marilyn Manson. Like it was like a thing. Like people, like they faced media criticism and they faced controversy, but like a lot of people, like mainstream people, they were like, yo, this is like real art or something, or this is art, they have a right to say this, and we shouldn't like try to make their life hard. Like let them entertain. Like as entertainers, they should They should go where they want to go. And like nowadays, it just seems like everybody's canceled. Like everybody needs to be like careful what they say. Like art isn't art anymore, I guess. Like satire is just taken at face value. Like you can get canceled now for like saying something as a character in a movie or something like that. It's just like everyone's now I feel like a boomer sitting here. Oh, what's up with cancel culture? But yeah, back in the day, like there was just like it was like a tradition of entertainers that were breaking new grounds and facing criticism, but also like people like stuck up for them at the same time. Like what if Eminem were coming up today? Like there was a lot of controversy. You guys are probably too young to know this, but like there was a lot of heat. You got a lot of heat for saying the word faggots, like, and he was willing to die on that hill. He would not budge. And it was like the biggest deal. He had like gays protesting outside of his concerts, and the media were all about it. And he ended up like performing with Elton John at the Grammys, and it was like surprising to everybody. But the fact that Eminem was at the Grammys, I mean, to have a guy who just unapologetically keeps saying that word and is at the Grammys, just like on MTV too, like Eminem is on MTV, TRL, if you remember that thing, like Total Request Live, Carson Daly, people like Ryan Seacrest, you know, just like the most mainstream, like douchey, frosty hair tip types of people are just like, oh, well, Eminem, the controversial Eminem is here. Like Eminem wasn't painted as, you know, alt-right, not that, you know, if that such thing existed. He wasn't painted as right-wing for saying that word. Like he was called homophobic, but he wasn't like pinned to like the Ku Klux Klan. Like today, if somebody insists on using such hateful words as an entertainer, they would be painted, they were pinned to the alt-right, called racist, called Klansman, all these things. So like as much as Eminem faced heat back then, like he still was like embraced by the mainstream. And if he were doing that today, yeah, he'd be called right wing, he'd be called, you know, a Trump guy, and he would be deplatformed. Like YouTube would be deleting his videos, the YouTube would be marking his shit for 18 and up, demonetizing, and maybe he would be removed from like Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. If like enough attention were drawn onto it, if like media people were writing these articles like, yo, this guy hates gay people and he's on iTunes, there's a good chance like iTunes would just be like, all right, cool, we're removing him. And that would just be the end of his music on those platforms. So times have changed.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask, I feel like your music has changed a little bit also in the last two videos. Like you're using your face. You're like singing with your, like, so it's more personal and it's more of like, and there's a little more of a story. I mean, there's more of like an obvious story in some of these more recent ones. Like
true, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's been an experimental year, you know. It's been an interesting year. You just look over at him like, yeah, I asked him a good question. Look at that.
No,
Is that what that look was?
I even interrupted him because on the last video, I like interrupted him 100 times when he was talking, and I felt bad. And then I was like, so I was like,
it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
because he was gonna ask you something the same time.
It's no, I'm interested. I'm more interested in this now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been an experimental year. I hear an echo now. Not anymore. You know, it's been an interesting, weird year for everyone, right? Like it's been the weirdest year ever. And the fact I've produced anything the last few months is like, you know, I give myself a real pat on the back for that. Like it's been it's not easy to like be thinking about like, hey, what's funny or or I'm gonna go work on something now, when like things are just crazy. First with the lockdowns, then with the you know, the civil unrest, let's say. I mean, shit is like hard. It just feels like the world as we know it is just going away. And I know a lot of people say, well, the world as we know it is, terrible. We should burn it down. And I'm like, okay, but is there a place for me in the new world? Like, I realize I'm not exactly mainstream as it is, but are we going to a place where like entertainers like me are just like wiped out from all human contact? So it's been anyway, it's been an interesting year. And yeah, I mean, these last couple videos were experimental. The both of them are like hard. They both songs kind of lend themselves to a live action video. You know what I'm saying? Like not the usual like Monty Python moving picture type of video. It's more like for these two songs, they sort of lend themselves to live action. And with the Shane Dawson one, it ended up being like a high production value production that we went all out. With the Conscious Rapper, it was more like just me and a green screen, and and that's about it. But in both cases, it's live action, so it's experimental. I think I'll probably be getting back to the more familiar style in the near future.
How come you didn't enjoy that as much? Or I mean,
No, it's about what's right for the song. Most songs are not like, they're not about me, so
right.
it just doesn't make sense for me to be.
Form fits function.
Form fits function, you said?
Form fits the function, or the form should fit the function. I forget. There was like a line in the.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Form fits the function. Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is whenever I hire someone else to make me a video, they always want it to feature me. So like most of the live action videos I have like a handful of them. It's always like other people shoot and direct them usually. And so that in their mind, it's just like a no-brainer that I should be the face of it. But in my mind, I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Africa and China. Like I'm talking about Trump. Like I'm talking about stuff. Show those stuff. I just I've got a new animated video coming, done by the African Golden Boy, the African genius. He did my animated Ebola video a few months ago. Mashoud, his name is Ridwan. He's got like 4 names.
I saw it. That he's like, his profile, his AVI is like him in a hoodie or something, and he's looking up, kind of.
Yeah. And yeah, like in his videos, he features me. Like my character is like rapping and walking through the video, and it's always for everyone except for me that they think like, yeah, it should be about me. But in my mind, I'm like, whenever I'm editing it, the last thing I'm thinking about putting in is myself. I'm thinking about the topic of the lyrics. Now, Shane Dawson was an interesting one because I like dressed up as him, so it ended up being like me and him and stuff. So that was
Very
fun.
2008 aesthetic. Nice throwback, yeah.
And how did you have the idea to have Blair White in that video?
It was pretty random. I was like,
it's so funny. I couldn't stop watching it. I was dying.
Nice. Well, hopefully everyone else gets the memo and can't stop watching it soon. But we were just like, you're talking about shooting the video, and I was like, okay, who do I know? Like, what girl do I know? And I was like, well, what about Blair White? Like, she's, that'd be awesome. Like, so I texted her right away, and she said yes right away. I later found out she was drunk when she agreed to do it at a bachelorette party, but it's not my problem. You can't revoke your consent.
Nope.
But yeah, she still was happy to do it, and we had a lot of fun shooting it.
That's cool. So you guys are tight? Like you guys?
We've hung out, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 times, I guess. We're not like tight, but we're friends. And yeah, and it was so it's always a blast.
Also, so one thing that so I made a video like actually it was like last week, and it was about like going off the derech, and so I have like a bunch of like a lot of our viewers on this live stream are like they're like religious or they were or whatever, and I always like get really excited when I talk to someone who has like my background, who is like religious, like I
So
don't know.
you just use like Yiddish and like Hebrew, like you just assume people know what you mean, like that's how niche your audience is.
I could. I mean,
Well, you just said you went off the derech. Isn't that like?
oh
Don't
yeah.
most people not know what that means?
Well, I explained it in that video. So in the video, it was like the title of the video is what it means and how to do it right, and it's kind of like a tutorial, but also like it's not like you should go off the derech, but it's like if you do, then here are some like pointers, and if you had to make like a video like that, what would you say?
Well, first, it strikes me that you're like the anti-Abby Shapiro, right? That's Abby is Ben's sister, and she does these videos like how to be conservative, and you're like the anti-Abby. Your videos on like how to not be religious. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't really make that video because it just seems, I guess I don't really see myself advising anyone on that, but it's an interesting question.
It's kind of like I would have liked to have a video like that, like when I was because I kind of went cold turkey and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was kind of like trying to adapt to like a more secular world and doing a lot of things wrong. And it would have been cool if there was someone who was like, hey, like, here's what you can do to make your journey easier, or here's some things to watch out for.
And was your upbringing very strict, or was it like kind of Persian and easygoing?
I mean, I would say it's kind of like in between that world, like in between Persian, like
because your family became more religious as you were younger, right?
Like as we got older. So I'm like I remember my family before. Hey Joe. I remember.
Where are you going with that gun in your hand? Richard gets it.
What?
There's a song. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Come on, focus.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so you were sort of religious, and you know, in your family.
So my siblings grew up when my family was already like Beis Yaakov tier, but when I was little, like I remember my mom like still not having her hair covered, and yeah, like I was
sorry. Does she watch this channel?
I don't know.
I'm joking. I kid. Believe me, I've said worse. Mrs. Saleh. That was a bad joke. Anyway, sorry. Back to you. Anyway, is there a point? Sorry to speed it up a bit. Is there an end to this story, or is your answer to my question like an open-ended, like never-ending, trailing off? Because I was just kind of like trying to get a bigger picture of like where you were coming from initially. It sounds like you had like kind of a conflicted upbringing in the first place. You like being religious was never quite like cemented into your identity like it might have been.
So like we grew up pretty strict, but when I was very, very little, I remember when we weren't strict. So that's why like the most inner core part of me feels comfortable not being strict. I think that's why I'm like this and my siblings aren't.
What made you question your life? What made you question the path you were on?
I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like I fit in or believed anything. Like I didn't believe in it. I didn't feel like it didn't feel right. Also, like it just seemed like an obstacle to everything instead of something that helped me get to whatever it was that I was excited about.
What were you excited about?
Exploring, doing cool things. Like I was curious. I feel like it's hard to ask questions when that there's already an answer preset. It's not like you're asking questions to discover something. You're just asking questions to find out what the preset answer is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of sorry, someone texted me. That's why I stopped talking. A lot of religious people, they would say this quest you have, like, where is it actually going? And then and without religion, I mean, religion sounds so harsh and strict, but without without a system, without a program, it just leads you nowhere, and you see people ending up unhappy and frustrated. So, God gave you this manual for living. So, I think a lot of people, they would hear what you just said and they would say, well, the what you kind of chose, the sort of asking questions and sort of going down that route, it only leads people to more frustration and unhappiness.
Yeah, because life is so much easier, and life is just easier when you don't have to wonder, when there's an authority figure just giving you the answers.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Jewish people would say you're making Judaism sound like Christianity in its worst days. Like, the Jewish education is not that dogmatic, where it's here's what you must believe. It's more like, let's find out if this is true. And spoiler alert, it is, because you're praying every day. And but still, I mean, but you kind of you got to give credit where credit is due. You do kind of go on the process of of proving that there's a God, proving that there's that the Jews have a certain set of requirements. And I think a lot of people, they would say you're this sort of mission, this sort of journey, it just doesn't it's not fulfilling the way that the godly life is. So they would, I mean, if they're good at their job, they would answer you with a positive. They would say Judaism gives you something positive that you're just not going to get. And they would point at the state of the world. They would say, look at all the social justice crazy people, look at the look at all the miserable women on all these antidepressants around the country. Look at all the failing marriages. Look at all the drug-riddled youth. Look at all the children wanting to be trans. Just they would just point at all these different things, and they would say this is the free thinking world you're choosing. This is supposed to be better. So I think that's how a lot of people would answer.
Yeah. I also feel like it's not. Yeah, there isn't really. You don't need to be religious in order to have those things. In order to have
what things?
You don't need to be religious in order to be stable and not do drugs. You could even do all those things that because I was having this conversation with my mom the other day. She was like, oh, a Frum family will do this and this. They won't use their phones on Shabbat. Once a week, it's just family time, or they'll have all these nice things that religious people do. And so I was like, well, what if I just did all those things anyway? And it was just my thing, and it wasn't Like you could do all those things and not answer to anybody. I could turn off my phone once a week and not do it for anybody but myself. And
Yeah. No, sorry to interrupt. I got excited by that point. Yeah, that's true. Like people, they can, like a secular, like let's say in the future, like secularism takes over, but the right way. Like there's another enlightenment, but done right this time. I could imagine like, people shutting down one day a week. I mean, they could still be working, there's always going to be like emergency personnel and stuff, but let's say just people that they just don't drive unless they need to, like one day a week. And like, they're just quiet in the streets. Like it's mellowing, so I can imagine, like I can imagine like malls being closed and stuff. Like I can imagine people voluntarily doing that just because like that's just like part of the culture. It's not something people are pressured into, but it's just something that people it's like kind of a custom that people are like into. And they don't use electricity unless they have to, like they kind of have things on a timer. I don't know, maybe it wouldn't happen. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can imagine it happening. Like I can imagine people like holding on to that element and being like, yeah, it's healthy to just kind of be minimalist one day a week and like take a break from TV and from gadgets and all this stuff.
Yeah, maybe not electricity, but I was thinking like people do those retreats, right? Where they go to an island that's completely devoid of technology and they take away your phone and stuff. And sometimes it's for like rehab, but sometimes people like pay lots of money to go on these retreats just so that they can be like cut off from the outside world for meditation and peace and quiet. Like
well, they're cutting them off of modern technology, like phones.
Right.
They're not cutting them off of technology. Like I'm sure they're sleeping in beds and stuff, and like they have a roof over their head.
Yeah.
But what people like to do is they like to act like anything that came out of the Industrial Revolution is like extra natural. It's like like electricity, turning on a light switch. That's like, that's like unnatural almost, but like the technology that like cavemen use, that's just natural. That's like normal. Like you're supposed to use that, but there's no difference in principle. In both cases, someone had to like think about it, figure out how to manipulate the materials into tools, and voila, you have technology. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Like with the Amish, they are allowed to use hammers, but they can't use like jackhammers. They can't use chainsaws, but they can use a saw. Like why is that the line?
No good reason, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's because somebody at the top told them to do it. That's the whole point, is that you're listening to somebody that is higher than yourself.
Although I do think Rucka might have a point that it might be the Industrial Revolution is like seen as the beginning of modernity, because in a lot of ways it is. And that's like, for a lot of these people, that's when the culture started to decline.
Yeah, it's rare to hear anyone say anything positive about the Industrial Revolution the more time goes by, like religious or, just leftists, like all of them. And it's increasingly the right, the alt-right, the populist right, like Tucker Carlson. They're sounding a lot like they long for the days of living on the farm and life was simpler, and you're close to your family. Shit, yeah, you were close to your family back then. They're the only people you basically saw.
Yeah.
And like 3 out of 4 of them would die before they were 10 or something like that. Just like crazy. And a crazily demanding lifestyle where you just have to wake up crazy early, plow all day, work in the field all day, then go to sleep with like barely, just eat enough and go to sleep and back, repeat process the next day. Just the most demanding lifestyle. There's no such thing as a career in anything other than farming your own farm. It just bears sustenance, like, and all of that can just be now replaced with just going to the store or even getting on your phone and ordering from Amazon, ordering delivery, something. And all the time that frees up for you to like live a life and just think of a trillion other ways to spend your time. The fact that anyone would have a problem with that is, is very, very, very sad.
Yeah. Like Rand was saying in the one Ford Hall forum, I think it was like the New Left, I think it was called, where she was like, yeah, like people are talking about the Industrial Revolution. People would work 10, 12 hours a day in these factories. But like, what were they doing before that? They were working on the farm 16 hours a day and breaking their backs. I mean, I'd much rather be tinkering with a hammer in a factory than like manually pulling a cart or something. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's I'm sure it would not be fun to be a sweatshop worker or whatever you call them compared to my lifestyle now. But I think Rand also said like capitalism did not invent child labor; it inherited it, which is so true. Like, why is it with children working on the farm all day? And it sucks. It's not like they were given like, here's your kid tools. You sit here and try your best to get this done. No, it's like you're from the time you're born. You're like you're basically breeded to help on the farm. Like they needed to have kids so someone could work on the farm.
People also have kids.
What's up?
People also have kids so they can get welfare.
Good point. It's like we're returning to the. It's like a reverse farm. It's like reverse agrarian life. Like instead of breeding kids so they can work, you're having a kid so you can both not work.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's like the inverse. It's like a bizarro land where like we've gone from a farm where people breed in order to have help working. And then we've gone to a place where there's abundance because of a few people who are like thinking about how to produce an abundance, and then a bunch of people having kids so they can avoid working.
Planet of the AIDS.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, so since it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, I just want to go over and see if anybody has any questions. If you have any questions that we can ask the Rucka, please let me know so we can ask him. And so I'm just gonna give you guys like a few minutes, just ask your questions because we're gonna go. Right. Hello, Ira. Hello, Graham. Hello, Dove.
Joe asks, do the Amish use toilets? I don't think they use running water.
Yeah, maybe there's some Amish that do and some that don't, like there's more liberal Amish people that a little like they might dress in color. I saw a movie, full disclosure, it was a fictional movie with Kirstie Alley and Tim Allen where they're married and they're like having a troublesome marriage. They're not getting along. They end up on an Amish, resort, whatever you call them. They end up living with the Amish for a few months or whatever, however long. And it like brings their marriage, it restores their marriage. They like learn to appreciate the little things in life. And that's a movie. Another good Amish movie is it's with Harrison Ford. Just look it up. Harrison Ford Amish movie. Maybe it's called Witness because the little Amish boy witnesses a murder at the airport at the beginning or at the train station. And then Harrison Ford he takes the kid and his mother into questioning so he can ask the kid, like, who did you see? Like, what did the murderer look like? And the Amish kid's mother is like, no, we need to get to we need to get to the train. We are on our way to visit our uncle, whatever. And Harrison Ford is like, we need to solve a murder. So you're coming with us. It's the law. We have a right to keep you. We have a right. You have no right not to be questioned. Like we're solving a murder. And the Amish lady says, you don't understand. Your laws don't apply to us. Something like that. And they're like, oh yeah. So that's become like my motto in life. Like all thanks to that Amish lady. I'm just like, no, sorry, the rules don't apply to me. The law just doesn't. Your laws don't apply to us. Your laws don't apply to me.
It's a good motto, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like if anyone ever complains, anyone ever criticizes, I'm just like, oh no, you don't understand. Your laws don't apply to us.
Bro, you don't understand.
Bro. Yeah, there we go. Bro, man.
Bro.
What if we
When did
started a religion of Rucka?
Ruckaism.
I'm a
It's like
Rucka.
yeah.
I'm a Ruckistan.
Ruckastani.
Yeah.
Ruckistan. Ruckistan sounds like a good country to start over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
If America
imagine.
becomes Tommy, we can move to Ruckistan. Sorry.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. That was that was
I kind of hope that we get a little bit of a break from the accelerationism we've been going through. I don't know if it's going to happen. But.
I mean, I think we're moving towards fascism. I think, the choices that Republicans have made are taking us farther in that direction. So I'm glad that Trump lost, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. Hopefully it's a little better than what we've had.
Do you feel like it's because it'll be like gridlock? So because it's like a Republican Senate, so like no one's really going to pass anything. So we'll just basically be able to have like peace and quiet, like in terms of like laws, like, or I don't know, because Republicans will act more like forceful, and then of course like it will basically be like
they pretend to care about freedom more when they're in the opposition, I think.
True. Yeah. Republicans suddenly become these like deep thinking philosophy, like philosophical individualists. They remember the Constitution. They're like, yo, like when Obama was president, Republicans were talking about the founding fathers and the rights of the individual and defending 19th century robber barons or so-called robber barons, all these things, and then cut to the end of the Trump term, and Ted Cruz has a podcast with Michael J. Knowles where they're just like anti-capitalist, complete like protectionist, nationalist, just the worst of the worst conceivable. I just saw Michael Knowles tweeting saying like just like making fun of like libertarianism, and someone was like, oh, so you think like the government should like tell you how to live? And Michael Knowles goes, the government literally tells us how to live, or like some bullshit, just like something you would expect to hear from like a feminist BuzzFeed reader who's like, yeah, well, that's what the government is for. It's like something you would have heard Lacey Green say back in the day, like, and it's like Michael Knowles saying it now. It's just like he's just like, talk about falling from, I'm not gonna say grace because he was always a douche, but I mean, at least you could sort of count on him for something. So like, I want to talk to Ben Shapiro and be like, look what you've become. Like you've got like a team of anti-capitalist, pro-Trump, people working for you and working with you. Like what have you become? Like, how do you what are you doing? Like someone tweeted at me saying like, I like this. Someone replied to my tweet saying like, now that you'll like this. Now that Shapiro turned the Daily Wire into Breitbart, where can he flee to next?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the running right, using your old voting habits.
Yeah.
They make that joke with people who leave California and vote the California way in Texas.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, Shapiro, I think he left Breitbart because of what it was becoming. Shapiro was like a never Trumper, somewhat like individualist, constitutionalist, free market person. He was far from perfect, but like he didn't like what Breitbart had become. And now like he's like, the people working for him are all like they're basically like Trumpites. They're all like Trump people. So
wouldn't you say though that with Biden it would be even more statist? Like they would have more, they would focus more on like the COVID, like the lockdowns. They'll focus more on like raising taxes and all this stuff. I mean, it's kind of like the lesser, just like the less statist option.
No, I wouldn't. And I don't know how bad Biden can make it. Like, I don't know what he plans to do and how much he could accomplish. But as bad as the Democrats are, is how badly we need an opposition to them. There needs to be an opposition party. And under Trump, Republicans have become just another like version of the Democrats, basically. Like they run on Democrat platforms. They're like proudly unprincipled. I'm not saying Republicans were ever like good at being principled, but like compared to now, it's like I long for the days of like, when Ted Cruz and people like him were like speaking the language of capitalism and individualism. So back when the word rights meant something, like you have a right, like your rights cannot be violated by the government. Like that's what like Michael Knowles is making fun of now. So it's it's not, to me it's not a question of like which policy is going to be implemented in the next 4 years, because maybe you can say, well, like Trump's policy right now won't be as bad as Biden's, but I'm looking at the big picture. I'm looking at the trends. I'm looking at the philosophical direction of the culture. And when you have the opposition to the left is turning increasingly into this freak show, I know bad times are ahead. So if you think opposing the Democrats is hard now, imagine how hard it'll be when there is no opposition and it's just like two Democrat parties trying to outdo each other, which is what it's turning into. So the best I could have hoped for was exactly what happened. For Trump loses, but the Senate stays Republican and the Democrats go against, like, they go centrist, right? Like they kind of now it's like cool among Democrats to be like, I'm not a socialist. Like you've probably seen this more than I have. Like Democrats are like tweeting like, I'm not a socialist. I'm not gonna, we're not trying to you know what I'm talking about? Like AOC retweeted this guy.
Yeah.
And she just a picture of herself with a pouty look on her face or whatever. Who was he was like, we're not trying to do anything radical. We're just normal Democrats. We're not trying to defund the police. So now it's like cool among Democrats to be like, we're not defunding the police. We're not going to be socialist. We're not doing all these things. Guys, relax. We are union, blue collar, normal Democrats, and, don't pay attention to those radicals. That's the cool thing to say now among Democrats. And that's what happened. That's the result. That's a response to people's election, like the way people voted. It's I think it's the best possible outcome. It's like not Trump, like rejecting Trump, but also rejecting the crazy Democrats, like the leftists, I should say, and just like pushing towards the center, which is then there's a fighting chance at least.
Joe says, what do you think of Justin Amash?
Justin Amash is the libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who Michael Knowles was contrasting himself with in the tweet. He was like, he was saying, I'm less libertarian than Justin Amash. This is true. How gay is he, by the way? Listen, guys, it's okay to be gay. I've long said, come out of the closet, everyone. It does no one any good to be in. All conservatives, all Republicans, you go to any Republican event, I'm sure you guys have seen this, like there was the weirdest vibe in there of people who like really need to like, they don't need to be getting married to the opposite sex when they're 19. Instead, they need to be exiting the closet and coming to terms with who they are. But how gay is Michael J. Knowles? Jesus, that guy fucking, how smug.
He's married to a girl.
Oh, yeah, just like Steve Crowder.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't think he's gay either, right?
Wait, he's gay?
I mean, yes and no. He would say, depends who you ask. He would say no, but like he's this Adderall riddled, like high energy, sissy Mary who's hasn't had any kids yet. Like, what do you make of that? But anyway, Michael J. Knowles is, I mean, dude, he's so smug. It's just so irritating.
Yeah.
And he's like become like in my mind, he's like become like the face of this like new type of conservative who like realize it's not about the individual having economic freedom. It's, it's about the individual doing what he's supposed to do for the community and for the nation. So when that's the conservative movement, when that's a Republican, how could you not want Republicans to lose? Like, you need to punish them for that. You need to see them hurt and realize they've made a mistake. But Justin Amash, I'm not that familiar with him. He seems nice. I like, from what I've seen, he's got like a good personality. You know, he's likable and seems very leveled. But like most libertarians, or all of them, he probably has a very pacifist foreign policy.
Yeah.
So he would probably apologize, like to the Muslim world. Like if like 9/11 were to happen on his watch, he would probably apologize, like to Al Qaeda. So you know, I mean, what's up? I didn't hear that. Didn't catch that.
No, yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. That's why I laughed.
But also, the reason that objectivists are opposed to libertarianism like confuses some people, because it's like really hard to grasp. I mean, it's like level 10 objectivism to see like what's wrong with libertarianism and why like you shouldn't vote for a libertarian. It's like, and it kind of speaks to what I was saying about like, it's about the trend that the country is moving, like the ideas. So even if Trump has good policies, it's the method is what matters. The fact that Trump arrives at his policy by just feeling like it and just deciding what he feels like doing, that's a problem. That needs to be punished, and he needs to be removed. So having libertarians who they just insist on liberty, but they have no foundation for it, no ethical backup for it, no epistemology, like they don't have a view on like how an individual functions, how an individual needs to interact with the universe. There's just like nothing philosophical beneath their politics. It's just like, oh, liberty, period. We want liberty. We get liberty. First of all, they end up with all types of freaky policies. They end up cozying up with dictators because they have no moral backbone. Like they don't actually have any ethical position. So that's why you see libertarians kissing up to dictators. I saw Ron Paul was saying that Venezuela, like that Venezuela's problems are America's fault. I mean, how can a libertarian say that, right? Like, how could a free market guy say that Venezuela's downfall is because of America? Like, but you know that libertarians, they're basically like, okay, let me put it this way. All right, this is a good one. Yeah, I'm like readjusting myself here. Like, so like the spectrum needs to be like individual rights, like fully protected on one end, and statism on the other end. So like individual rights are protected on one end, and on the other end of the spectrum, you've got statism of some sort. But in the libertarian view, I think they basically see it more as anarchy on one end, like that's the one, like that's like the perfect liberty, and then statism is the opposite of that. And then, you know, they're like realistic about it. So they need to have a little bit of government just so, you know, just because anarchy would bring about certain issues. So they're faulty right off the bat. They see government as necessarily evil, but maybe a necessary evil. So like they end up hating America more than they hate a dictatorship. Like seeing a successful government like America relative to a dictatorship, seeing a government that functions, that seems to have some coherence, that seems to do an okay job at protecting people's rights compared to others out there. Seeing a successful government actually pisses off libertarians more than a dictatorship. To them, a dictatorship just confirms that government is evil. But when they see like a somewhat successful government, that it pisses them off. So they end up being anti-American more than anything. So there's my Justin Amash answer. I want to see Justin Amash have more of an ethical, like more of a full philosophical foundation. And then I want him to run not as a Libertarian Party person. I wouldn't vote for the Libertarian Party. Let's see Justin Amash run, you know, let him run for office as a Republican or something, or as a Democrat. Fuck, I don't even know. Nothing would surprise me anymore. Run as a Democrat. Maybe there'll be a resurgence in the Democrat aisle for like free market policy. Nothing would surprise me at this point.
Yeah, and it's so reactionary now. Like if a Republican came out and like was even more openly like statist on the economic side and talking about like how we need to redistribute wealth and stuff, the Democrats might just bounce back and say, well, no, we need to protect Wall Street and stuff, and, you know, make sure that we don't tax them too much. And then yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I mean, you might, yeah. I mean, like I've seen people under Trump, I've seen Democrats argue for like trade among the countries, like with China or whoever. Like Republicans have become the anti-trade party, and I've seen people like Destiny, the streamer Destiny. He's not exactly known as like a right winger or anything like that. He's definitely seen as more of a leftist, but he's much more like pro market than Trump and the Republicans have become. So I've seen Destiny go up against Republicans, where the Republicans are arguing against free trade and Destiny is arguing for it.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean,
but
oh no, go ahead.
Well, but it's all always utilitarian grounds. It's always like what will bring the greatest, benefit to the highest number of people. It's never like, I have a life. I have one life, and I want my rights are not up for negotiation. It's never discussed on those terms. It's always like, well, how can we craft the best society for everyone? So unfortunately, that's how it's always seen, and that's the battle. The battle is ultimately, it's in ethics. It's in getting people to rethink ethics and how they look at man and man's rights and man's moral purpose, and that's a very first-handed thing for people to realize. They need to think about it in terms of their values. So going back to what Pardes asked me about, see, I like to tie things back to the start about the video, making a video, how to go off the derech, and how would I do that? I mean, it's too much of a negative theme, isn't it? Like going away from something, like the only reason to go away from something is that you're moving towards something positive, and that's the only way you'll actually succeed. So, the question is not like how to walk away from something. The question is, what are you walking towards? And like when people like walked away from the left, right? We've seen this for years now. I left the left. Where have they ended up? Did they find some new, like remarkable, new, original take? No, they're like either back on the left or they're just like, normal, mundane right wingers like Dave Rubin has become. So,
that was a really interesting interview, by the way, with Dave Rubin.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's been a couple years since I watched it, so I'm due for a review. I'll record myself reacting to it and see what I think. I'll probably like most of it. It was a high energy. He was like, he cut out a bit of it. Not of me. He didn't cut me out. But like moments where he was just sitting there like he was like frustrated. He was like,
why?
Like he was
frustrated? At you?
Because he thought like, his whole thing is like, what's up with the left, right? That's like his whole thing.
Yeah.
And you would think when you book me that's what you're going to get. Oh yeah, these SJWs got to go, right? Like with me, you would think that's like all I want to talk about. If all you saw from me was my, my music, my entertainment, you would think, oh, this guy's like, he can't wait to talk about the left and the feminists and all that and BLM and all that. And then I go in there and I'm like, well, first of all, conservatives are the bigger like they're the ultimate stubborn people we need to deal with. Ben Shapiro, let's talk about Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager. He's like, what the fuck? It's like, why are you talking? Like, I brought you here to talk about the left and you're like, you have an axe to pick with Ben Shapiro? Like, what the fuck? So I broke the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was this attitude of like, why are you beating up on our team?
Yeah.
They kind of treat it like team sports. Like,
yeah, it's like sports.
True. But I think the validity of that is that the left, and certainly back then, was not willing to talk to anyone who's not on the left. Like, so Rubin and others, they were like banding together, like, okay, all of us non-crazy people need to like organize and have like a big tent. So there is like kind of a point to be made, like, yeah, he was sort of on that mindset because of like the left calling him a Nazi and not talking to him. So he's like, what's the big deal if Ben Shapiro disagrees with you? Well, at least Ben Shapiro is not trying to like shut you down the way that the leftists are. But I'm just like, yo, like it's much bigger like than this year. It's much bigger than this decade. Like this whole civilization is headed in one direction or another. Like we need to figure out like what are we doing? And Ben Shapiro is not on the same team as me. You know, we're not on the same side. So it was a bit of like a misunderstanding, I guess, between him and I. But I enjoyed it, like watching it. I'm just like, dude, like this guy's on drugs. Look at him.
Yeah, no, I think it makes it way more interesting when people aren't like predictable and they're not like one way in any like politically or anything. Like when people like, I mean, that's what makes for entertaining stuff. When people keep like surprising you, that's awesome.
Yeah. You got to come original.
Okay. So, do we have any other questions? Okay. So, anything else that you would like to say before we say goodbye to our viewers?
And what? No, you finish now. I'm gonna wait.
And tell them to check out Rucka Rucka Ali's channel if they haven't already, because
thanks for the plug.
Yeah, and I'm gonna include it in the description of this video because I mean I'm sure a lot of you already watch Rucka, but just in case you don't, yeah.
Check out his other stuff too. I mean, the music's the main thing that people know him for, but check out his other stuff too.
I would just want to repeat the fact, you know, it's all about what is the positive thing you're moving towards.
Yeah.
And Pardes, I think this you've got a blue check mark, and that's like underutilized. Like you should be, I don't know, booking more guests on the show or doing something. I don't know, like you got a blue check mark, like you're a member of society. Like, what are you doing?
So I should be having more guests like every night, meaning? I mean,
maybe. I don't actually know. Maybe you should be on Periscope. Isn't that what big Twitter people do?
Yeah, I did do Periscope. I just feel like YouTube is a little more exclusive because the people who are here on YouTube, like they're like my people. I mean, I know Doug, I know, Joe, like I know everybody, like there's Rosemary, and I know everybody in the YouTube thing, and they're all like people who like my stuff. On Twitter, it's kind of like just anybody. It's not as like exclusive. Like on Periscope.
So you actually want a small audience?
I mean, I like this audience. It's
yeah. All right. Well, then that's cool. I didn't know if you were trying to like grow this thing.
I'm trying to grow my YouTube, and these are getting more views as my YouTube channel grows. Like I'm looking back at some of my old videos and they're like growing. So I see the numbers going up. Yeah, I mean, I think about going back on Periscope, like.
Yeah, maybe it's not even a good idea. I mean, YouTube is fine. I was just like, you need to, I don't know, like you got a blue check mark, So you got that from working for Ben Shapiro? Is that how that happened?
Yeah, it happened while I was working for Ben, and yeah, and then I just did like a whole bunch of other stuff. And
yeah, and then he unfollowed you. That's kind of messed up.
Well, he doesn't have like more followers over a certain amount, so he probably like followed somebody else and was like, okay, like he probably
seems like such a silly
stepped off the top, but
yeah, it's messed up.
He has like, I mean, I used to do that too. Like I used to be like, oh, like I'm also not gonna have more than X amount of followers, and then I realized like there's so many people that I wanted to follow that I wouldn't be able to otherwise, so I stopped doing that. But
do you think maybe he unfollowed you like purposely because you were like annoying him or something?
No.
So.
We're being too edgy.
No, I don't. I really don't. I don't think that most people. I don't think most people like. I don't know. Maybe I did, but I don't think so. No, like because I kept talking to him afterwards, and he was fine with me. So yeah, I think I just like my Twitter wasn't as relevant for him to like it wasn't like I was, I don't know, press secretary and tweeting like White House stuff.
I got you. I mean, I think I get under his skin, low key.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, James knows.
Well, because you didn't that video where you were like challenging to a debate go viral?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He knows. He knows what's up. Everywhere he goes, he can't get away. And interestingly enough, this is a sneak announcement. I hate to say this because I know you guys will get excited about it, and it sounds cringe, so I don't want you to get excited. But I did a Plato versus Aristotle rap battle, and like the next one is the final. Who is it, James? There was Plato versus Aristotle, and then who's the next battle by? The final battle of philosophy.
Rand
versus
what, like Marx or something?
No. What are you, a noob?
Kant?
Yeah, what fucking took you that long to figure it out? Jesus. God, this is the most uncool guy I've ever seen.
I was so excited.
So yeah, I just finished recording it. My voice is like shot for the day. It's gonna take forever to edit the video, but it's like, oh shit, my favorite philosopher versus Shapiro's favorite. Like, he's gonna watch that shit and get pissed.
Oh,
but I mean, it's not like I did with Plato versus Aristotle. There's not a clear winner. It's like, it's left open. Like I do a good job steel manning the one I disagree with, and then I have the one that I do like attack that one. So there's not a clear winner. I just try to do it right. But yeah, so I don't know, he'll get pissed off, but yeah.
He likes Kant. I'm just learning about all of them from you. Actually, I learned about it through that video. Not Kant,
the history of philosophy.
Yeah, like Aristotle.
That's all you need. That's all you need to
know. I
know.
really don't know anything.
Well, yeah, like Kant basically, his whole thing was like, what was he was trying to rescue religion from reason, basically, and find a way to rationalize religion and reconcile it with reason.
Yeah.
That went just fucking everything up.
The way that we see it, but a lot of people would say that he saved the Enlightenment because of all the problems that were in philosophy, that like he solved them by like reconciling all these different schools of philosophy. So it's kind of it's an objectivist sort of take on things to say, oh, Kant he knew what he was doing and he ruined it on purpose, or that at least even not on purpose, he ruined it for everyone and like made philosophy a mess. So yeah, I've got that coming. That's going to be a bitch of a video to edit, but I'm done recording it, which thank God I can rest my poor voice now that I've talked to you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a good old fashioned racial themed number as well that I'm working on. So good. There's something for everyone.
Those are my favorite, honestly.
Well, you mustn't never have a boring day. Wow.
Well, it's just because it's such a taboo, and I think that's the thing, is it's almost cathartic to hear somebody having. I think it's I know you've said in the past, I think people try to get in your head and like whether you're trying to say one thing or the other. But my interpretation was it was making fun of racism, like the absurdity of it.
I mean, I think ultimately it is, because like the fact that it's funny and like the fact that it's like offensive, when you hear it, you're like, oh my God, someone said that. Like, I think that that implicitly is, yeah, like it would be ridiculous to say that in seriousness, but at the same time, I guess the sort of anti-racist sort of voices in the culture, they also really don't like, you know, even saying anything that, like, even saying it sarcastically is a problem to them. So it just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of making fun of the whole situation. But yeah, I mean, and one of the reasons I resist like people doing like kind of attributing a motive is that like when I'm writing stuff, it's just like, oh, this is funny. So I think like subconsciously it sort of adds up to like a coherent perspective, but like on the conscious level, it's just like, oh, this is funny and outlandish. So yeah, we got something for everyone coming. We got something for everyone.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you do all of your editing yourself on your videos?
Yeah, unless like otherwise specified. Like if it's like a live action video, like the Shane Dawson one, I had someone edit that and shoot that. If it's, you know, Conscious Rapper, the newest one, that one I edited because you can tell how low quality it is. It's just like me and words. And then, you know, like if it's like high quality, I didn't edit it, but most of the videos are just like, you know, primitive animation. So
those are the funniest ones though.
Yeah, true. It's like, yeah, it's what sucks knowing, even if I had like $1 billion and I can just hire like Spielberg and everyone I wanted to like edit videos for me, like I would know that I still need to fucking do it myself for it to be done right. And I need to like go on Google Image and get the pictures with the watermarks on them. And now we got videos like 20 million views that like the first picture has like a big stupid watermark on it.
No, that's
and multiple watermarks on the same
that makes it funnier.
No, it does.
Yeah.
Like the 2008 ones, like the OG Ching Chang Chong, like all of those are just, it's kind of like, I guess it's similar to the way that South Park is funny. Like that's a similar vibe. It's just like, there's one guy who made this. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, and that was kind of like the original internet, like video format, just like people just taking whatever they had access to and just making like a shitty video. But I was like, why stop? Like, why stop doing it? Like, this works. Like, it's perfect. Like,
you can train someone to make it exactly like how you make them.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So, well, there's probably like a team of people like that could like research, like really smart people, you know, like Asian people could probably figure it out. And they're like, okay, like they could like algorithmically like figure out my style. And then actually I've seen it. I was trying to think, like someone did a video like my style, like similar. And it was pretty good. I'm trying to remember who did it. It was like one of my fans. Okay, like he did a video for the vegan song, and it was like pretty good. It was like pretty similar to how I usually do videos. And then like someone else more recently did a video, like with like, you know, Gmail pictures, Google pictures, but and it was pretty good. I don't remember, so maybe I imagined it. Maybe it didn't actually happen. Anyway, this is the longest outro ever, which you get with me typically. I drag it out. We drag it out. This was fun. I literally have no throat left.
Yeah.
And
We
I
are
need to.
So honored.
No, it was cool.
It is an honor.
Yeah.
So you guys are in Texas? That's nice.
Yeah.
Yes, we are in Texas, and you are invited anytime.
I thought before this conversation, I thought you would be too annoying for me to hang out with, based on your Twitter. It's like all day, like, oh my God, yeah, give Trump the White House back, you know. But then, like, talking to you guys, like, you guys are cool. I mean, I knew James is cool, but like Pardes, I had to see like the full person on video to like know we can get along. I thought based on your Twitter, you're like they're gonna be this loudmouth, crazy Persian person. And what was I right though? Are you on your like? Are you on? Did you like take like muscle relaxers before this to like keep yourself?
Yeah, normally she's a boomer mom on Facebook. It's just this is the toned down version.
Oh well, now I don't know if I can visit, but I do visit Texas every so often because I know multiple people in Texas, so I'll be in Texas.
Sweet.
I'll be in Dallas. Sorry if that's like giving it away, but yeah.
No. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. If anyone's in Dallas, hit these guys up.
Yeah.
And it's open door policy. You need a place to stay. you know where to look.
You know
where to turn.
In Rucka's hotel room.
No deportations.
Wow, you flipped that around on me. There's that sassy, sharp-witted Persian I've heard about. Persian I've heard of. I've been like writing lyrics, like rap lyrics, the last few days.
You should
like
make
on a Persian I've heard of the Persian. What?
You should make music about Persians.
Well, I did one about Indians. Isn't that kind of the same thing?
No, make one about Persians.
Well, so what's the difference, really?
Persians.
No, I know. There's cultural differences.
But like, I can't say that because Indians are also.
You can say that.
That's
I can't.
That's the joke about like the being frugal or cheap or whatever. Like that, people say that about Indians also. But I mean, but there's stuff about Persians. Like like the money stuff. There's a lot of like money stuff with Persians that you can make fun of. I can tell you all of them.
Yeah, but like it's just like Jewish jokes. It's just like stuff like they make fun of Jews for, and then they just replace the word Jew with Persian, right?
Yeah.
Like so, like instead of saying Jews are cheap, they're like, oh, Persians are cheap. It's like, all right, it's the same joke, and it's just like replacing Jew with Persian.
Yeah, there's like a few like idiosyncratic.
I say that as a compliment. If I call anyone cheap, I'm saying it as a compliment.
Yeah, like they're smart.
Yeah, I mean, I said thank you. She was like, "You're becoming cheap," and I'm like, "Thank you. It's an honor coming from you." Yeah, I said it's an honor coming from you.
Because I'm the cheapest person I know.
That's nice. Do you guys eat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you cook? Do you cook Persian style?
We're trying to learn a little bit. I mean, Gundi is like really good.
He had Gundi. Have you ever heard of?
Bro, no, I have no idea. I don't know. All I know about Persian food is the burnt rice, like rice with like burnt, like it's like Mahatma, like Indian rice, but it's burnt at the top for some reason. And
good. It's tied.
Yeah, that's about all I know about Persian food, like burnt rice. What a proud culture. That's all I know about you. That's all you have to show for yourself. No, I'm joking.
You can really make fun of Persians and they won't get offended. You can make a whole song about it.
They just appreciate the attention. Armenians are the same way. Like they can't believe they're being acknowledged. They're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yemenites have good food. Bro. You know any Yemenites? You ever eat with those people? Bro, man.
Oh, yeah.
I should have been Yemenite.
Yeah, I ate a bunch of Yemeni household meat.
Yemenite. Anyway, good talk.
Yeah.
I ordered like Postmates while we've been on the phone, like hoping they get here. Oh, they're still like not here yet. But
we go and like start cooking our food now.
What are you guys cooking?
I'm kidding. I just said that to be. No, we ate. We ate, and I was like a little while we were talking.
I had leftover pizza and some salad.
I had salad.
Bro. Salad? What does that mean? You ate salad? What just like lettuce? What did you eat? What was in it? Was there like protein in it?
Yeah, there was
there was protein. There's
eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
There's what? Eggs?
Like hard-boiled eggs, yeah.
There was like
ew. I hate that. Sorry to like judge your food, but I never understood how hard-boiled egg is food. Doesn't it smell like shit? I'm not trying to like disrespect your food.
I barely noticed it though. It was funny. It was like mixed in with everything else, and there was bacon on it, so like you didn't even notice it.
And cheese.
Bro.
It's like
So
3 kosher violations, right?
Yeah.
You're like a triple felon.
3 strikes.
So before you go and eat your food, they want to know what you're eating.
Oh, I ordered Chipotle.
Oh, nice.
And I order a bowl from Chipotle. I've never in recent memory have I ordered like the burrito with you don't know how hard it gets to keep your weight down the older you get, unless you have like exceptionally good genes where you're just genetics gave you a freebie and you can still eat stuff. But I try to avoid bread as much as possible. So like I order like a bowl from Chipotle with no cheese usually, and other times I order poke. You know what poke is? You probably don't have any good ones in the middle of Texas, but like on the coast, it's like it's everywhere. And then I cook. I get like salmon cuts from Trader Joe, and I get like rotisserie chicken from the other store, like ready made. So I try to. That's me cooking. Getting a rotisserie chicken. It's like, hey, look, I cooked it. I'm cooking dinner.
Everything's gonna be like that in the future. You won't even need to cook. Everyone's just gonna get like it's just like so much faster and not necessarily less expensive, not necessarily more expensive.
I remember before COVID, like people were eating like Postmates more than eating out in a restaurant, and that's probably never gonna come back.
True. I mean, I think just health is like the main reason not to just get ready-made food, because like they usually douse it in oil to like make it taste good.
Yeah.
And so like that's the reason to cook for yourself, is just so you can like see how much like oil and stuff is put into it, so you can try to eat healthy. But
HMC. Oh,
he said, "What in the absolute hell? I used to listen to this guy in middle school."
Wow. And you know how many people say that all the time, but there's like no indication of what grade they're in now. Are they in their PhD program? No, people just expect me to know this. They're like, I used to listen to you when I was 14. I have no idea how old you are now. You could be 16. You could be 60. Like there's no, but yeah. But the most condescending way in which that compliment comes, I guess it's not even a compliment, is like, oh, well, it is, but
the way that you develop the mind.
No, it is a compliment. The guy in the chat room gave me a backhanded compliment, but it was a compliment. It was just backhanded, to be like, oh, I used to listen to you, but the insulting version of that, which is basically the same statement, is when people say like, oh, you're irrelevant. Like you were relevant in 2012. Now you're irrelevant. But literally, it's just that you stopped listening in 2012. But like another generation of YouTube viewers grew up and took your place, and then those guys grew up and a new generation took their place. Like just the utmost narcissism people have of thinking that because they stopped paying attention, that like the world stopped caring, when like the numbers haven't gone away. But anyway, I'll calm down and I'll stop yelling at the poor guy in the chat room.
No, that's like the Q&A where that one lady, it was like an Ayn Rand Q&A, and she's like, well, I used to read your books when I was in high school, and then I grew up. Like,
oh, that lady, yeah. It was in like the Phil Donahue show.
Yeah.
She said, I used to be part of your cult. So she was straight up insulting. Said, I used to be part of your cult. But that is a common, I mean, look, I don't compare myself to Rand in any substantive way, because she was like magnificent in her art and work. And I'm magnificent, I think, in my own context, but nothing, it's like comparing like a really good, it's like comparing like a really good, like I don't know, like a heating and cooling operator who like works that's his job, heating and cooling guy, versus like the guy who invented the air conditioner. It's like it's two different things. But anyway, But yeah, in both cases, like the argument is always like, oh, I liked it when I was 14. That's the ultimate insult. But it's really a compliment if you think about it. But also it's an insult. But here's my thing. No, here's my thing, you know? Like the older I get, the closer I get to like the art that I consumed as a kid, like the books, the movies, the shows, like the music, that stuff that like really, really spoke to me. Like the more I realized just how much it shaped me. And then I'm like, why would you make fun of the stuff that moved you when you were little? Like, why would you make fun of that? Like it's bound to, like, you're bound to say it when you're like 17. Like you're bound to make fun of the stuff that you liked when you were 14, you know, because that's like how you are when you're a teenage douchebag and you want your friends to think you're cool. But like, why would you do that though? Like, why would you keep saying like, oh, I was so dumb when I was 12? Like, I mean, you're like making fun of like stuff that like used to like send you to the moon. Anyway, I really have no voice left.
I make fun of stuff I listened to when I was in high school because it was all like emo, and it was like I just discovered music and everything, and it was like, yeah, it was like 3 Days Grace. I hate everything about you.
Most of that stuff was pretty cringe, but I don't know. I mean, do you really need to make fun of it? If you really liked it, like you really loved it, like just admit you still like it and still listen to it on the DL.
All their songs by heart.
Yeah, so it's just admit you still like it and stop virtue signaling about how much you've grown up. Yeah, I've been getting more and more into like the old school stuff. But anyway, guys, this has been a great talk. I am out of energy. My throat is dead. Have fun in Texas, land of the free. Have fun having your abortion rights called into question, and have fun seceding from the union. I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, we'll let you know how it goes. Yeah,
let me know how it goes, and learn Spanish.
Okay. See you, senor.
All right. Are we hanging up this Zoom